Hello everyone, my name is Daniel, and today I wanted to talk to you about a topic which I think is very important for establishing a positive environment in teaching. In doing so, I'll give some insight into how my own views on learning theory have come to be through experience, and hopefully I'll convince you to consider some of the points which I make today when reflecting on teaching practice. So the main question which I wanted to pose today was, how do we create a positive learning environment which caters for student well-being? There are a lot of theories which try and address this question and model learning towards individual students, such as Gardner's theory of multiple intelligence. There's also other theorists such as Piaget and Kohlberg who tackle well-being through the perspective of morals. Within modern teaching practice, it's clear that there is an emphasis on a democratic approach and the relationship between teachers and students. Though these theories differ in nature, each of them brings forth something to consider as teachers establish their approaches towards the classroom. To address this, it's clear that most people will start to draw ideas and inspiration from their core beliefs about teaching practice, better known as their pedagogical stance. When I first started my course in education, I was confronted with the question, what do you think the word pedagogy means? To be honest, when I heard this question, I had no idea what this word meant or how it applied to my teaching beliefs. However, when I looked back on the 2 years I spent teaching overseas, I realised that without knowing, this concept had begun developing and was changing day by day as I interacted with more and more students. From this experience, I started to realise that a pedagogical stance isn't something which is taught to someone, but is instead a core concept which is fundamentally changing and evolving throughout our lifespan. I think this highlights the importance of learning not just for students, but also the ever-evolving nature of teachers. For this reason, I wanted to present to you my beliefs and how they changed over time and manifested into the core ideas of identity, relationships, safety, communication, and content to create that all-important positive learning environment. When I started teaching, I found that the hardest thing for me to do was that first step in engaging the students. I was a complete stranger to them, and to suddenly appear before 40 people and expect them to know and understand what I had to teach seemed like an impossible task. I realised that in order to overcome this, I needed to establish my role within the classroom to answer the question of, what kind of teacher do you want to be? This led to a view that teachers should be a positive influence within the classroom who can easily be approached to discuss ideas and beliefs, as well as facilitate the acquisition of knowledge and understanding. I found that this was vital in my introduction lessons, and once students could see the positive aspects of the identity I was presenting to them, they tended to relax and enjoy the content I was bringing them. This eased the teaching process for me as well, and without this key principle in place, it's clear that the students wouldn't have been able to construct an internalised idea of who I am, or in turn develop consistent approaches towards my teaching style. From that point, it's clear that the focus of my classroom approach had to shift from what I am to who, which meant putting myself out there not just as a teacher, but as a person that students could relate to with interests and ideas similar to the students I was standing in front of. I remember something important someone told me, which he'd taken from social learning theory, stating that being relatable to students was the key to engaging every one of them on a personal level and was essential for building trust and understanding. From this, I tried to apply this principle by actively talking to students during class and getting to know them. In practice, it was really great to see the more I spoke with individual students, the more they enjoyed the class and were willing to participate in the activities I gave them. Now, it's nice to have a positive, friendly classroom environment, but the next problem I faced was that it was of little use when nothing gets done in that time frame. It was fun telling stories to my students and getting to know them, but in doing so, many of them would sideline the tasks I would give to them or be unsure of the aims of the lesson I was teaching. This also caused a few incidents where students would speak out loudly or not engage with the activities properly, leading to negative effects and obstructions to other students' learning. This really clashed with one of the key principles I held, where students should be given the right to learn without interruption and always feel safe and secure within the class environment. It was obvious from observation that breaching this principle led to a poorer learning condition for students, and this was well supported by research showing that learning was significantly impeded when students felt insecure within their environment. My solution to this problem was to implement systems to ensure students had a right to learn and that the areas of required curriculum I had to teach in the classroom were met. These systems also served as a way to ensure classroom safety and maintain my class's positive learning environment. For this reason, prior to the start of every activity, I made sure that every student knew the rules associated with the task, and that if anyone noticed a breach of these rules, I should be made aware of it. This served to establish and maintain routines to ensure that students' time was spent interacting with the tasks and not just wasting their classroom time. This idea developed into another key principle of mine in which students and teachers have the right to express when an issue arises within the learning environment, and any issues within a class should be resolved within the classroom. This also assisted in managing those challenging behaviours students sometimes gave me by establishing clear rules and expectations. Once this system was put in place, I found the classroom environment ran a lot more smoothly with little complaint. Even the difficult students were much more accepting of the tasks, and this really highlighted the importance of communication of classroom expectations between peers and the teacher to develop a mutual understanding. Once these frameworks and systems were established, I set myself a goal of shifting the emphasis of my class from simple bonds with each student into how to further motivate and engage students through the content I was teaching. To do this, I focused heavily on the concept that students should attempt to understand why the materials being presented are relevant to them personally, which formed into a key principle that I used to develop many of my classroom strategies. This view was well supported by constructivist theory, highlighting how the relevance of information plays a key role in the learning process. To do this, I tried to incorporate a variety of different tasks using interactive tools and challenge the students each lesson with an overarching question to engage them through inquiry-based learning. Through this process, students could try to engage with the material in a way which is both relevant to them and benefits their personal interest. This process of differentiation helps to offer more avenues in which relevance can be found by students, and in turn an open approach to how students' talents could be assessed and considered. This ultimately served as a means for classroom activities to engage and support students through the use of a variety of approaches such as puzzles and games, which utilised sources such as multimedia and ICT in the learning process. Given the nature of the school I was in, the students really enjoyed the opportunity to work in groups, engage with technology, and do something aside from sit at a desk and write notes. With all of these approaches in place, I found that every student I was teaching had a lot of fun with the material I brought into the class, and that it wasn't just a case of me motivating them to study hard and enjoy class, but they were making teaching fun for me as well, creating a reciprocal loop of making each class a worthwhile experience for everyone involved. What I aim to do with these approaches is ultimately meet the students halfway in understanding what they need, as well as try and hold an open view towards the learning environment. I hope that this approach will continue to not only help develop new and effective strategies towards a positive learning environment, but also continue to evolve my personal understanding about the role of the teacher. At the end of the day, when you look past the ideologies and theories of the classroom, I found the core principle is simply treating others the way you'd like to be treated. It makes me think back to when I was a student and asking myself, what would I have wanted most out of the classroom environment, and modelling my approach towards such a perspective. I think that through this process, my understanding of teaching has come to embody a positive learning environment, and hopefully will continue to evolve and improve the positive nature of the classroom for each and every student. So that's it for this video, and thank you very much for watching.